the next topic that we are going to take today is FCRA amendments upheld by Supreme Court. This is Foreign Contributions Regulation Act. Foreign Contributions Regulation Act. The first, after the independence of India, what happened was a lot of foreign missionaries, foreign charitable trusts, foreign NGOs came to India, and they set up their centers in India and started their non-governmental organization NGO work in India. But the government of that time was concerned about the kind of interference these organizations can have in the political, social and religious fabric of the country, because it is very important to regulate the foreign funds that are coming into country, and it is important to regulate their use so as they are not misused against the interest of the country. Okay? And it is a globally recognized factor that foreign funds coming into a country are a risk. They definitely have a risk factor to them. Okay? तो FCRA अगर हम इसके evolution को देखें तो why it is in news, because it was Foreign Contribution Regulation Act was actually passed in 2020. ठीक है? It was passed by Lok Sabha, passed by Rajya Sabha, and on September 28th, 2020, it became an act by the presidential assent. After that, multiple petitions were filed in Supreme Court against this act, the amendments done into the act, as the petitioners challenged that these amendments put a restriction upon the rights of these NGOs to obtain funds and to perform their work in India. And moreover, they also contested that under Article 19, the people have right to form organizations. Okay, so these amendments are putting a hurdle into their way to form their organizations and to function accordingly under Article 19. So Supreme Court was hearing these petitions, and now Supreme Court has upheld those amendments that were made by government, and also made an observation that no one has an absolute right or fundamental right to receive foreign funds. Okay. Now we will look into a bit into the evolution of FCRA. The first Foreign Contribution Regulation Act was introduced in 1976. The main points of this act were that it intended to prevent foreign NGOs, okay, from influencing social, political and economic the milieu of the country. Okay. So it was not very much regulatory in nature, but it mandated that all the foreign NGOs operating in India can receive their funds freely, but they will have to file the record of the receipt of foreign funds as to how much money they are receiving from foreign. ठीक है, पहला तो ये important था. दूसरा important बात ये थी कि certain entities like political parties, okay, media persons, judges, they were not allowed to receive foreign funds. ठीक है, under 1976 FCRA. Okay, but so there was no limitation on how much fund you can obtain. There was no limitation from where you can obtain. But yes, there was a limitation that you will have to report to the government as to how much fund are you receiving from foreign. Okay? But there was no limitation on what kind of use you are putting. ठीक है, आपको 500 crore rupees बाहर से आते गए, but how you are utilizing, government was not interested in that. Government was only interested in how much are you receiving. ठीक है, फिर 1984 में एक amendment आया that उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि फिर 1976 में बहुत सारी फर्म्स NGOs ने रजिस्टर किया था to receive foreign funds. ठीक है, this act mandated registration of the firms to receive foreign funds. But बहुत सारी smaller level पे जो NGOs थी, they were not registered with Ministry of Home Affairs to receive foreign funds. So what they did was, the bigger NGOs that were receiving foreign funds, they transferred a part of their money to these smaller NGOs. Okay, but 1984 amendment banned that. कि you can transfer your funds but only to registered NGOs. मतलब कि पहले क्या होता था कि ये unregistered NGOs को भी पैसे ट्रांसफर करते थे NGOs, but now amendment of 1984 made it mandatory that you can still transfer funds to other NGOs, but only to those who are registered to receive foreign funding. ठीक है, who are registered to receive foreign funding. Okay, फिर 2010 में the whole act was abolished and a new FCRA was reenacted. Okay, what were the main points? So in this act 1976, the license, ठीक है, if you have to receive foreign funds, you will have two options. The first one is you will have to take prior permission from Ministry of Home Affairs, or you will have to take a license by registering your NGO for the receipt of foreign funds. मतलब या तो आप individual basis पे ले सकते हो, या तो as organization you will have to you will have to take a license, ठीक है, by registering yourself with Ministry of Home Affairs. या तो एक prior permission लो, या तो register करो permanently. But once you got registered, तो आपका registration permanent होता था. There was no time limit for it. फिर 2010 के जो FCRA आया कांग्रेस के गवर्नमेंट में, they enacted it and they put a limit कि only 5 years period the registration is valid for only 5 years, and after that they will have to renew their license to receive foreign funds. Okay. Moreover, they also put a limit that only 50% of funds, ठीक है, they put a limit that only 50% of funds can be utilized for administrative purposes. Actually होता क्या था कि most of the funding, ठीक है, what these NGOs received, for example 500 crores, ठीक है, and for example this NGO is registered as a charitable endowment, ठीक है, they would say that around 300 crores went to around 300 crore was utilized for administrative expenses. ठीक है, तो पहले क्या था, there was no limit on how much you can utilize for administrative expenses. ठीक है, तो but there was a very high chance of corruption. ठीक है, कि 500 crore you are receiving 500 crore from foreign and you are utilizing 300 crore as what? Administrative expenses. Actually what happened was these huge amounts were transferred to local NGOs, yeah, missionaries and all these institutions, and they were shown as administrative expense. ठीक है, so what government did was they put a limit that only 50% of the fund can be utilized for administrative expenses and not more than that. ठीक है, so this was an attempt to to put stricter regulations in place so that the misuse of foreign funds can be stopped, and basically a lot of terror funding was also done through this route, and a lot of missionary conversion activities were also done through this route. So to put a block on that, to regulate that, government introduced this 2010 FCRA that 50% of funds can not more than 50% of funds can be utilized for what? Administrative expenses. ठीक है, फिर आता है 2020 का FCRA amendment. ठीक है, तो but in 2010 this new law, certain entities were banned from receiving foreign funds, like judges, government employees, political parties, election candidates. ठीक है, so these people were not allowed to receive foreign funds. But in 2017, political parties, okay, political parties were exempted not by doing an amendment into this act, but through finance bill. Finance bill is presented along with budget, right? So 2017 में finance bill ले आके, ठीक है, political parties were exempted from this restriction, and now political parties were made eligible to receive foreign funds. ठीक है, okay, and then after that in 2020 FCRA amendment, again a lot of amendments were done so that the foreign funding can be regulated. What happened was Again, several entities. One important addition was done to this. In addition to government employees, election candidates, judges, पब्लिक सर्वेंट एक नई टर्म ऐड की गई, पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स. ओके, पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स also cannot receive foreign funds through this route. Okay, so public servants, but the term public servant was not defined. It was rather said that anyone who has been employed by government for, or who has undertaken remuneration in the pursuit of an action on the behalf of the government. Okay, so they cannot receive foreign funds. ठीक है. उसके बाद सेकेंड पॉइंट ऑफ कंटेंशन, okay, we can have a look on year wise number of FCRA registration cancellations. ठीक है, तो 2014 से लेके 2019 तक around 19,000 registrations were cancelled for non-compliance by the NGOs. ठीक है, for non-compliance by the NGOs, and that is why in 2020 the whole new amendment was made. And the second point in this amendment was, the first point was an addition of the term public servant in addition to political parties, election candidates, government employees, judges. Now public servants can also not receive fund from foreign. ठीक है. The second point was foreign contribution cannot be transferred to another, okay, NGO which is not registered to accept foreign contributions. Again, पहले क्या था कि they were eligible, they were transferred to other NGOs, other registered NGOs. ठीक है, but that smaller NGO which is receiving a share of that fund that has come from foreign country to a bigger NGO which is registered to receive funds. ठीक है, so that was not, the smaller NGO was not mandated to be registered to receive foreign funds. ठीक है, but it was definitely, it has to be registered in India under Societies Registration Act or other some registration acts, but it was not mandatory that they also be registered to receive foreign funds. अब क्या हुआ कि if this is NGO1, ठीक है, NGO1, this is receiving foreign funds. पहले क्या था, they transferred to some NGO2 which is not registered to receive foreign funds. Now government has mandated that if you are receiving foreign funds, you must be registered for receiving foreign funds from directly from foreign country, and if you're transferring to some other entity, that entity must also be registered for receiving foreign funds. ठीक है, that has been a very major amendment into this whole act. ठीक है. Okay, the third amendment that was very important was to receive foreign funds in India, the NGOs will have to produce their Aadhaar card of all the office bearers, directors and all the bigger functionaries of that NGO. ठीक है, and if some foreign NGO is operating in India, okay, so then they will have to produce their passport. ठीक है, if some foreign entity is operating in India, so they will have to produce their passport. And if a person of Indian origin, OCI, if OCI card holder, so they will have to produce their OCI card. ठीक है, तो मतलब identification set करना बहुत important समझा government ने, and that is why it has mandated that anyone who is operating an NGO and receiving foreign funds must disclose their either Aadhaar card or passport or OCI card. ठीक है. And one of the major important point was कि now you can receive foreign funds only in one branch, that is you will have to maintain an account at SBI New Delhi, okay, and all your foreign funds from all the countries of one NGO, ठीक है, will be accumulated, like they will be collected in this fund, this bank account only. ठीक है, that is if an NGO is receiving some foreign funding, then they will have to first of all open a bank account at SBI New Delhi, and then they can utilize these funds, they can make transfers to some other local branches also. ठीक है, okay, that is one of the major amendments. The last amendment that we are going to take is that now administrative expenses, admin expenses cannot be greater than 20%. मतलब पहले क्या था, cannot be greater than 50%. Now it has been lowered to 20%. Okay, मतलब the majority portion of your funding should go to the specified purpose, not in the form of administrative expenses. So I hope you understood this. These were all the amendments that were made. So if you have any issues with this, any problem, any queries, any questions, kindly ask me in the comment section. I will be more than happy to take them. So now Supreme Court judgment has said that the receiving foreign donations cannot be an absolute or even vested right. मतलब government has absolute right, the government has absolute power to control foreign donations, foreign funding, ठीक है? Because the theory of a possibility of a national polity being influenced by foreign contribution is a globally recognized threat. ठीक, मतलब this is globally recognized that foreign contribution can be used to influence the polity of one country. That is why the Supreme Court has upheld these amendments. Okay.